All right, let's just get stuck straight into it, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? So we're going to break down the weekly Therapeutic Goods Administration vaccine safety report. I've really taken exception to this report for a long time. I'm going to explain why, but before we do, we're going to go through a few disclaimers, okay? I don't know, legal disclaimers, something to that effect. So as of the 30th of the 9th, 2021, the Therapeutic Goods Administration has reported 64,293 AEFIs, all right? So that's adverse event following immunization, and 564 deaths, okay? Now, it's very important to point out, as I've got there with the asterisks, these figures are not conclusive and may not be associated with the vaccine, okay? So, in other words, these adverse events and deaths took place after somebody was injected. It's yet to be determined for the very vast majority of these cases whether or not there was a link between the event and the vaccine. And it seems like the TGA, they seem to be in no rush to get to the bottom of it. But hey, you know, who am I? Who am I to speculate on the expertise of the bureaucrats that work in the Therapeutic Goods Administration? You know, I'm sure they're our nation's best and brightest. What do you reckon, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So a couple of definitions here. So, of course, AEFI, adverse event following immunization. And also, when we refer to death, we're referring to a death that occurred following immunization. Also, AEFIs and post-immunization deaths published in the COVID-19 Vaccine Weekly Safety Report may not have been the result of any given COVID-19 vaccine. Data featured in this segment is not conclusive and may not be indicative of the true AEFI and post-immunization death figures, okay? So just to make that perfectly clear. All right, so let's have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got the weekly safety report. I'm just going to pull that up on my screen right now. There we go. All right, so as you can see, the 30th of the 9th. Now, straight off the bat, this looks to me like it's more of a promotional sales pitch rather than any type of real comprehensive sales safety report. Here's why I'm saying this. So we've got here, vaccination against COVID-19 is the most effective way to reduce deaths and severe illness from infection. It's like, well, hold on a second. I thought that I was accessing a document here so I could gain information to help me make an informed decision in relation to whether or not I want to participate in this vaccine. Yet they're just, you know, really selling it to you right here. Goes on to say here, the protective benefits of vaccination against COVID-19 far outweigh the potential risks. Well, the government tells us every day. I find it quite amusing that the government feels the need to put this type of salesy lines here in the safety report. All right. So we have total AEFI's reports received, 64,293, okay? So some people might be a little bit confused. They may see this figure right here, 64,000, next to nearly 27 million doses administered. So one could be forgiven for doing a little bit of on-the-spot mental arithmetic and determining what a percentage would look like, 64,000 into nearly 27 million. So one could be forgiven for drawing a false conclusion that there's only been, say, 64,000 adverse events following immunization. Now, in my opinion, it's very deceptive that the Therapeutic Goods Administration publishes these figures right next to each other. So the devil is really in the detail. Total AEFI reports received. Okay, so the question is, why have only just over 64,000 reports been received? Shouldn't there potentially be a whole lot more than that? Well, why am I saying that? Well, I'll go into a bit of detail about that in just a second. Also here in regards to death, where supposedly the TGA reviews all deaths reported in people that have been vaccinated. And it says as the number of vaccinated people have increased, so has the reporting of fatal events. All right, so what the TGA is suggesting here is that there's been 564 reports of deaths post-immunization, but based on their expert investigative teams, they've only found 9 reports that were actually linked to immunization. So what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think that we have the best and brightest and people that have the best intentions of the Australian public working in the Therapeutic Goods Administration on this vaccine safety report? Or do you think maybe we have people whose core allegiance is to the government and perhaps other corporations or somebody else? What do you think? I'm just posing the question here, okay? And I'll leave it up to you at home. So Why do I have an issue here with this figure? This is probably an accurate figure in terms of, as it says here, reports received. Probably they only have received these reports, or perhaps these are that is the figure of reports that they've been able to process at the TGA, and perhaps they have not been able to process additional reports. So why am I taking exception to this figure? Okay, well, it's quite clear here. This is Ausvac Safety. This is the Ausvac Safety website right here. Now, Ausvac Safety is a non-government entity that's government funded. It is an entity that communicates directly with the Therapeutic Goods Administration. Its core function is to send surveys to people post-immunization of the COVID-19 vaccine in order to ask the question whether or not a patient experienced an adverse event following immunization. So let's have a bit of a look at this data here. It says here that 3,733,538 surveys have been completed, and out of that, 43.8% reported at least one adverse event. All right, so let's just not look any further for now. Go back here and let me ask you a question. Does 64,000 in your mind equal roughly 43.8% of 26,800,000? Does that equal 64,000, or does it equal something a lot higher than that? All right, now just bear with me for a moment. I'm getting to the point. You're saying, well, hold on a second, Morgan. These surveys from Ausvac Safety, they haven't been certified by these expert government bureaucrats. Well, that's true, but my argument is, why would somebody lie about experiencing an adverse event? You'd think that if somebody is running off to go and get the COVID-19 vaccine, then there's a reasonable chance they wanted to do it. But actually, I suppose you really can't apply that anymore, can you, given all the coercion that's going on? But just humor me for a moment. Let's look at these figures here. So look at this. Survey sent on day 3 post-vaccination, all right? So here's another issue with the data. It is a known fact that many adverse events following immunization occur after 3 days. They can occur weeks from immunization. So another question is, why is Ausvac Safety not sending a follow-up survey, say 2 weeks post-immunization or 4 weeks post-immunization? If they were to do that, here's a question for you. Would this figure of 43.8% remain at 43.8%? Or could that figure possibly be much higher if Ausvac Safety actually cared about comprehensive data in relation to adverse events following immunization? All right, so let's take it back now, okay? Because we're going to use this figure of 43.8% because that's really all we have to go on. My suspicion is that it could very well be a fair bit higher than that. But let's go back and take a look here at an estimate, okay? So the government, right, as we've seen via the Therapeutic Goods Administration, and where have I gone? There I am. The government has, as you see, posted just over 64,000. All right, so we have to make our own estimate. So look at this. Adverse event following immunization estimate based on Ausvac Safety data. All right, so total doses administered, 26,800,000. AEFI rate based on 3.7 million surveys is 43.8%. All right, so to work that out as a total comes to 11,741,218. Okay, so this is based on a tremendous deal of survey results, nearly 4 million survey results. So we have to think that data is somewhat reliable. And of course, this is taking into consideration the fact that surveys are only sent after 3 days. So that figure right there of nearly 12 million could very well be much higher. I just don't have the answer to that question because it appears that the data doesn't exist. It appears that the Therapeutic Goods Administration isn't really that interested in following up on all the adverse events following immunization. It seems that no one in government's really that interested in getting to the bottom of what should be a hotly contested topic. You don't see the people in the mainstream media raising these types of questions in press conferences. Instead, they're more concerned about, well, when's the next mass vaccination hub opening up? How would you like to see people in the presses asking these types of questions? Would you like me to be in there? I don't know if they'd want somebody like me in there. I'd absolutely rip these people apart. All right, so I've got some thoughts in relation to this TGA safety report, which, as I said, really looks more like a sales pitch than anything else. So I'm going to run through my thoughts with you in relation to this absolute piece of trash document that the Therapeutic Goods Administration publishes once a week. So first of all, one, the TGA Weekly Safety Report is misleading, not comprehensive, and is published in a manner that can be easily misinterpreted in relation to the likelihood of experiencing an adverse event following immunization. Ladies and gentlemen, true or false, put that in the comments. Feel free to disagree with me. All right, 2. The TGA and government have made little effort or no effort whatsoever to encourage the general public to report adverse events following immunization to the TGA. True or false, put that in the comments. When was the last time you heard Daniel Andrews or Greg Hunt call on the public and encourage the public to report any adverse events to the TGA should they sustain some sort of side effect after immunization? When was the last time you heard Scott Morrison talk about it? Or Martin Foley, who is supposedly the health minister, although he doesn't look very healthy to me. 3. The TGA COVID-19 Weekly Safety Report reads as promotional material, not a comprehensive safety report. All right, true or false? Put that in the comments. 4. Given the demonstrated disparity of likely AEFIs versus AEFIs received and reported by the TGA, this is more of a question. Could there also exist such a disparity when considering death following immunization? Hey, I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking the question. Don't shoot the messenger. But I think given the nature of the safety report, it's only fair that we at least ask. Is that fair enough? All right, 5. The TGA Weekly Safety Report suppresses Australians' ability to make a proper informed decision. All right, so those are my 5 final thoughts. Now, why could this be happening, ladies and gentlemen? Are the people that work in the Therapeutic Goods Administration, are they stupid? Are they uneducated? Are they incapable of realizing the extent to which the Weekly Safety Report could easily be misinterpreted by the public? Or are they doing it on purpose?